Alright guys, so today's video is on a portable or Bluetooth speaker that honestly is probably one of the easiest products to recommend. The speaker that I'm talking about is the Monster Sparkle. Now first off, I'm not a huge fan of the name. I think Sparkle just kind of takes away from it being this powerful speaker that it is, but it normally comes in retailing at $129, but right now on Amazon it has the little box that you can check off that takes $20 off, and Monster even sent a code to give you an extra 10% off, which brings it all the way down to about $95. And I can say this right now, this is easily the loudest and most powerful speaker that you can get for under $100, at least out of all of the speakers that I've tested. But it has 80 watts total. It's using a 2-inch tweeter mixed with a 5.25-inch subwoofer, and it also has the passive radiator in the back so that you get that feeling of bass. You can hear bass, you can hear the clarity because of the tweeters. So I really like what all they combine to use in this speaker. Now it also has a full panel of RGB lighting, which you can see is just kind of changing. You have like 6 different modes you can switch between. It also has 24 hours of battery life if you're using this speaker at about 50%, which I will say 50% is already going to be too loud in a lot of situations, especially if you're trying to use this indoors. And it also has a bass boost mode, so you can get a little bit more out of the low end if you need to. But again, I'm going to go back and say that the bass is so powerful that I never even had to use this bass boost feature unless I was outdoors. That way you can kind of push a little bit more thump. It's harder to hear bass outdoors on pretty much any speaker. Now, as far as using this speaker outdoors, it does come in with an IPX5 rating. Now, this is an area where I wish it had like an IPX7 or IPX8 waterproof rating, because this speaker just looks like it belongs beside the pool or out at the beach. And only having an IPX5 rating means you're fine against rain and splashes and things like that. But if you happen to knock it into the water, it might damage your speaker. Now, as far as technology, it is using Bluetooth 5.3, and where this is beneficial is this cuts down on any kind of lag with movies, videos, and even gaming. So if you're looking for a speaker to use for media, it checks that box. But if you have 2 of these, you can pair them together to get that left and right stereo sound. And this would make for a hell of a desktop setup with speakers, let alone a pair that you could use in your living room or in your office or game room. It's very convenient in how many different ways I was able to use the speaker. Now, as far as the design and the build quality, honestly, it looks like this is a collaboration between Monster and Soundcore, because it does have that lighting that's in a lot of Soundcore products, but it also just has a similar build to it. It has this really nice grill on the front. It is a silicone or rubberized texture at the top, which is where your buttons are located. And the buttons that are on the top, you obviously have your power button, which you can't miss. It's the largest button on the top. You have that bass boost button, and then you have the sun looking button, which is how you change the lighting effects. But you also have your play, your pause, your ability to skip your tracks forward and backwards, and your volume control, all located on the top. Now, as far as what they've included inside the box, this is pretty simple. It does come with a USB-A to USB-C cable, and this is how you charge it. It does come with a 3.5mm cable because this speaker does have an aux input, but it also has a mic input. Now, it didn't come with a microphone, but like I said, it is a party speaker, so if you do need to talk to people out at the party or get anybody's attention, or if you're just trying to play DJ on this small speaker, you can do that with that mic input. But another feature that this speaker has that kind of adds to the party element is it will pair to another one of these, and it will give you that left and right stereo. Now, I'm going to say, again, this goes back to the value of the speaker, because right now you can get two of these for under $200 and have two very powerful speakers that can easily fill any size room, but also can fill a large space outdoors. A lot of speakers are already in this $200 range, and it is a single speaker. So again, I'm impressed with what you're getting at the price. So now let's just jump right into the sound of the speaker. Now, I did say it's loud, so it can check off that box if you're just looking for something very loud. I did say it's bass heavy, so if you're a bass head, I have no problem recommending this speaker compared to anything in the under $100 range. But where it really surprised me is the clarity that it had. It didn't allow that bass to just trample on the mids and the treble. Again, that's probably because that subwoofer and that radiator are obviously separated from that tweeter, and that tweeter's doing an excellent job of bringing out details in vocalists, male, female vocalists. Certain instruments like the mids have a really nice presence to it. And same thing with the treble. The treble has a nice, bright, detailed sound. Now, it's not overly harsh, so they're not trying to overdo it because the bass has so much presence. Now, I do want to kind of clarify, I'm not saying that this is a very just bass heavy only speaker. They're not just pushing the low end. A lot of speakers try to do that and you get distortion or you get a muddy sound, and this speaker just doesn't have that. It doesn't have that, muffled sound. It doesn't have that congested sound. It sounds great with a lot of different genres. I will say with metal, I do kind of wish that the bass was tightened up just a little bit more so that you can hear the separation between each hit of the drums. And I listen to metal a lot, and in the double bass of drums, sometimes with pretty much any speaker can get kind of boggled up because it's so fast. But this speaker handles it extremely well. I'd say if you listen to pop and hip hop and anything pretty much mainstream, I would easily give this speaker a 9. I mean, I think, again, at this price point, it's going to be very hard to beat, and it just fits mainstream music very well. If you listen to metal and rock, and this is kind of nitpicking a little bit because of the speed of what I'm listening to, I would drop it down to a 7 here, but for this type of speaker, I think that's still saying a lot at what it's capable of. And it's kind of the same thing with easy listening. I think, you're maybe not going to want as much low end and some of the things that you're listening to. And even at the lowest setting, it still has a nice prominent bass. So easy listening, I would give it a 7 here as well. But with media, having that punchy bass makes explosions sound great. Having that tweeter that's focusing on your mids and your treble means dialogue and things stick out pretty well. So for media, I would give these an 8. So for an overall rating, I would put it at an 8, which I think is a very solid choice. And from a value standpoint, it's easily a 10. I don't know what's going to compete with it in this price point. Really, the only thing I would change about it is I would like to have seen it had an IPX7 or maybe an IPX8 waterproof rating. I think this speaker kind of just screams to be set by the pool or used at the beach, and not having that full water protection just kind of makes me a little nervous using it in those situations. But outside of that, I couldn't ask for anything more in a speaker like this. Now, I know this video sounds like it's sponsored, but it's not. This is simply just one of those. It's a very impressive product. It definitely hits the value that I always try to find in products, and it's giving you a lot for your money. So it shows you don't have to go out there and just spend a lot of money to get a powerful speaker. This definitely packs a punch, but it still brings extreme clarity. It's a fun speaker if you like lighting. It's very light and portable, so if you're going to use it in outdoor situations, you're not lugging around this huge speaker. And I think this speaker is probably going to sell out pretty quickly because summer's coming up, and this is the speaker that kind of fits using it in all of those different summer type situations. But guys, that's my video on the Monster Sparkle, and maybe I would go back and probably change the name of the speaker, but thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.